Let's go to Sarah in Greenwich. Sarah, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Daniel. Just a quick question. My daughter, about 3 weeks ago, she had her phone taken off her in school. The phone made a noise, and she admitted that it was the phone that was in her bag. The teacher took her phone, and then they called me to say that they had confiscated her phone, which I said, yeah, that's fine. I can collect it, and then, we'll deal with her going forward. But they have said that she will not be able to have her phone back until the end of term, which at the time that they took the phone off her, it would be 5 weeks until she could have her phone back. I did kick up a fuss. I did call, send the school emails. I sent the school board emails as well. And then they gave her a brick phone. Is that something that is lawful? Is that reasonable? I find that quite unreasonable. Considering that the school does allow phones, it just has to be switched off on the premises.
Yeah. So schools are allowed to confiscate pupils' mobile phones. That's a power that came in about 2006. And there's government guidance that says that head teachers can confiscate mobile phones for the length of time that the head teacher thinks is proportionate. There are special rules if the pupil has any form of special educational needs. Does your daughter have any special educational needs, if you don't mind me asking? No. Or whether she's in a particularly vulnerable position for her safety. Is there any issue there?
I mean, she's travelling from one borough to another. It's about an hour and a half journey.
Okay, but not more. She's not more vulnerable than any other pupil. It's just a slightly longer journey than most pupils.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's in a vulnerable position from a legal perspective. I'm afraid that there's no specific legal maximum. Generally, a few days is what schools tend to do, and extended confiscations for more than a few weeks are much more likely to be challenged as disproportionate. I think you'd have a decent argument. I'm not promising you'd win. It ultimately comes down to a matter of discretion of the headmaster as to what's proportionate. You should complain to the school referring to the government guidance on proportionality. And if that gets you nowhere, because you say you've already complained, you can escalate it to the Department of Education or Ofsted. But the problem is by then, of course, Sarah, the 5 weeks will have elapsed and she'll have her phone back anyway, so it all becomes a bit academic.
Okay. Well, I think I'll go ahead and still, lodge that complaint. And I just think it's quite unfair, given that it's her first offence. I'm happy for her to have the phone taken off her at the beginning of school.
The fact she's been given a brick to some extent alleviates the problem, because on that long bus journey she does have a means of communication.
Yeah, so this was after I spent weeks, about a couple of weeks complaining, saying that, we need some way to be able to contact her.
Yep. Sarah, good luck, but I'm afraid it is all slightly academic. The law often gives you rights but doesn't always give you the means to enforce them. And since it would take you more than 5 weeks to complain to Ofsted and get a response, and she'll have the phone back in 5 weeks, it's just a bit academic, I'm afraid.